caring. He'd give the shirt off anyone's back. He was in a plane crash in Tampa Bay with several wrestlers. Do you know about that story?
I'm not sure if I heard that one.
Yeah, he was in I forgot what year it was. It was back in the 60s, and he actually pulled, one of them died. I can't think of the names of who were on the plane, but he had a broken leg. He was very bloody. This is in the Bay. He actually pulled them out and made multiple trips back to the plane, pulling people to the seawall. And it was during a storm and pulling them over the wall. And then he had to seek help, and no one would come to the door because there's this giant of a man who's covered in blood trying to, get help. I mean, there's so many just stories. You could do an incredible film about Gary, but someone else would have to do it. That's probably 5 to 10 years of work.
Man, oh man.
Well,
this has definitely been informative. The chat room's going back and forth on, bringing up memories of Chris and the super kick and time in WCW and everything. But before we go, we definitely want you to tell them once again the website so they can go and check out this film.
And also that it's a documentary, like you mentioned the WCW. If it was a wrestling fan film, I would have, paid more attention to, like, showing his life at the WCW. But it was really a look at it's a real documentary. It's a look at what happened to Chris and an attempt to try to understand it. Because what happened to Chris is reflected so much in what happened with Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit and Chris were at the WCW at the same time. And guess what? GHB, which the drug test they were doing at WCW, wasn't a test for GHB. That's one reason GHB took off like crazy. It makes you feel drunk as a skunk in about 30 minutes, and it's a very seriously dangerous drug. I don't believe steroids make people kill their family. I believe GHB, it puts you in a blackout. You have no idea what you're doing, and you go into a rage. And Chris, that happened to him several times. You can see the film by going to www.gentlemanschoice.tv. Gentlemanschoice.tv. Remember the .tv part because .com is. I wish we could have had .com, but that's an enormous porno site. Think about the name Gentleman's Choice. Gentlemanschoice.tv. And if you have trouble, just do a search for Chris Adams movie, or just put Chris Adams in Google search engine, and it should be at the very top of the search engine, and you'll have no trouble finding it. It's $5 on iSoda. You can also buy the DVD on iSoda. And if you're a wrestling fan and it's bothered you about all these deaths, there's been over 50 deaths of wrestlers under 50 in the last few years. If that's bothered you, you've wondered what in the hell's going on. It's certainly not Vince McMahon's fault. It's complicated. Take a look at the film and follow the story. It moves fast. And I think you will really gain a lot from it. You will also, just like in the movie The Wrestler, I think the kind of respect that so many people who weren't wrestling fans, who didn't like wrestling, and saw the movie with Mickey Rourke, the respect Mickey Rourke, gave to the professional of wrestling when he played the Ram was mind-boggling. I just saw him on Actors Studio being interviewed, and, he just was raving about the various wrestlers that he worked with, just every aspect of them. They're incredible. And I think, when you watch Gentleman's Choice, you really get a sense what happens with some guy who was in front of 40,000 people, and the wrestling industry moves a different direction. He gets left out, and he's struggling to, come back, just like in the Mickey Rourke film. But this is real. This isn't fake. And then the kind of characters, a lot of these are the kind of characters you find in really small-time independent wrestling. Independent wrestling is probably the hardest business for anyone to be in. And I'll tell you, the next Vince McMahon, the next show that becomes popular, it's out there right now, and it's one of these promoters that no one would ever back or believe in, who's just not going to stop and is going to create a show that makes WWE look like nothing. And that person's probably out there right now. They're probably in their 20s, and they're busting ass.
Definitely. Guys, make sure you check out this documentary. I've seen it. It's definitely gripping. It nothing like you've ever seen, not even The Wrestler. Mickey, we thank you for
I appreciate it. Thank you, Darth.
No problem. We hope to have you on at a later date.
I look forward to it. Take
All right.
care.